Sure, we could watch that. I'm kind of interested. Like, you know, I think everybody hears about like is it the seven wonders of the world? But I don't even know most of them and like what they are. You watched Juguban? No, not really. I've only watched that video again. I think it was like XQC reacting to it, and I was like, interesting, let me watch that. That's about it. I don't really know the guy otherwise. So yeah, by historically, let's watch that. I don't know the wonders, like I know... what are the wonders of the world? That's a good question, I mean. Top of my head, I feel kind of dumb, I can't think of them. I'm sure I know some of them, but like I don't know what actually counts as like the wonder. Like the pyramid, obviously. Like I'm sure one of the pyramids is counted, or all of the pyramids are counted. What else? Hello, Akumanu. Yeah, I don't actually know most of the wonders. Let's watch this.
Most people nowadays, when I mention the seven wonders of the world, gobble up the Colosseum.
Colosseum, yes. Always open, yeah. You can request, you can suggest as many as you want, as long as you want. And I'll choose what interests me.
The Eiffel Tower and whatnot. If you are one of those people, you are stupid. First of all, the Eiffel Tower and the Stonehenge aren't even world wonders.
I was gonna say, like, aren't they like World Heritage thing? That's why I was confused, right? I was thinking between like wonders and like World Heritage thing, which in the end, you know, like all pretty important.
The Eiffel Tower never being one ever. And about the Colosseum, sure. On paper it is a world wonder along those other six. But can we really agree on that? Do you want to know how those structures became world wonders? Through an online poll. In 2001, some random Swedes decided that the common people, and not governments, should vote on which monument should be praised as a world wonder.
Okay, but is that wrong? That seems fair to me, I mean. Like, if people vote it's a wonder thing, it's a wonder thing, no? I don't know. Like, the Colosseum is pretty amazing. What's wrong with it? Like, it's super old, it's super legendary, it has its own history. What's wrong with it? UNESCO, yeah, that's what it is.
Sure, that's a noble cause, but what those noble Swedes...
yeah, no, because I said, like, I've already read about that, so I don't really need, like, a recap of it.
Got are two factors. Money and nationalism. Do you think countries are just gonna sit there and allow their beautiful monument to not be a money generator?
Yeah,
of course not. They massively tried, and possibly succeeded, to rig their monument onto the list that assures a major influx of tourism. Seriously, why did the Colosseum end up on the list, but the Great Pyramid of Giza did not?
It did
it's
not?
The only remaining ancient world wonder that remains standing to this day.
Oh, okay, then it's kind of stupid, yeah. I was sure, like, pyramids would be part of the world wonders. The seven wonders. I had no idea they weren't.
Hey, you know what? Why don't I show you what the real wonders of the world were, huh? And I got just a tool for it. Ta-da! You ready? Let's do it.
I really can't think of a single thing that's a wonder of the world. I'll probably know them once it is them, but top of my head, I don't actually know. Only two Patreon? Was such a big channel?
And here we are. Welcome to Jurassic Park. No wait.
Nice style,
welcome
by the way.
To Egypt.
Yes. Yeah, is the pyramid not a wonder of the world?
I decided we might as well start with the oldest world wonder and slowly work our way towards the latest one. So yeah, here we are. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Yep, your eyes are not mistaken. It's white. If you would visit the pyramid in the current day and age, it would be more like this instead, where the top is slightly missing and it's all considerably more dusty. How that all happened, we'll get to later, because we should first cover why this 146 meters tall behemoth was made in the first place, and what is actually inside of it. The Great Pyramid was made
I've already like watched a lot of videos about the pyramids. It's super fascinating. Like, you know, there's so many theories about like how they actually built them and how insane it is to think that like so long ago they were able to like sculpt those like insanely big like stones and actually like stack them and everything. It's pretty fascinating, yeah, like thinking about, you know, how it wasn't possible back then when now it's still kind of struggle doing it with any kind of like what you'd call more primitive technology without any kind of like machines.
more than just a demonstration of the wealth and the power that the pharaoh had. Its true purpose was actually to be an insanely fortified tomb.
Yeah.
The ancient Egyptians believed that the pharaohs were deities on earth, and that in the afterlife they would ascend to join the Egyptian gods. To ensure a safe passageway to the heavenly realm, it was crucial that the pharaohs were left undisturbed.
It's the craziest tomb of all time, though.
So, naturally,
it's sick, yeah.
The only logical thing left for the Egyptians to do was to carve out and hold 2.3 million blocks of stone weighing a total of 5.7 million tons, or roughly 600 Eiffel Towers from Giza and its surroundings, to the pyramid's location to build an impenetrable fortress for the king to lay in. And so they did. The massive undertaking took only a short 20 years, which they managed to crunch down to due to the use of skilled workers and hired labor forces. Yep, you heard that right.
Yeah,
the pyramids were not just simply made by slaves. It actually was a huge collaboration from the Egyptians altogether. Unfortunately, Pharaoh Khufu died before he could see his tomb finished, but the good old chaps the Egyptians were, they kept their promise and lay him in there anyway.
I mean, what are you gonna do with it anyway? Like, you know, the only purpose of it is literally to put someone to rest in there, so... Not like you can change the purpose of the pyramid. Huh? Might as well put someone in. Huh? Built by the early pharaoh. Later kings just save time by building normal tombs. Yeah, fair enough. I remember, like, I think this one isn't the biggest, right? I think, like, one of the descendants or something, like, wanted to build a bigger one for himself. So I think there's a bigger one. I forget the name, though. Angkor was not one of the world wonders, but some Jesus statue is. One is weird for me. Interesting. We need New World's Wonder for sure. I mean, on paper, like, I don't know why it's supposed to be limited to 7 or something. Like, I'm sure there's so many legendary historical things that, yeah, should be considered, right? Rice Terrace were on the list. Oh, the Rice Terrace became a resort because some people did it. Oh, okay.
Inside? Here, in this hollowed out granite slab. Yep, that is the grave of the almighty pharaoh that had this entire pyramid built. It's almost like they ran out of budget and were like, nah, just throw him in there and close the chamber.
He's already dead, who cares?
Which they did, by the way, by letting
Biggest
3
one?
huge blocks
Oh,
slide down
okay.
this entire
Okay.
shaft to conceal the true path to the king's chamber. The other path, which just goes down and down, leads to a seemingly random chamber with another corridor after and below it that are both just dead ends? Strange. Speaking of strange, below the king's chamber is the queen's chamber, which never had something inside of it. Why was it built then? No one really knows. The most popular theory about the purpose of this chamber is that it used to house a life-size statue of the king himself. However, there are almost no claims to back that up. And speaking of even more strange, the clever ones among you might have wondered what those long tubes are for.
Yeah.
Well, they were apparently for air ventilation. You can see them leave the king's chamber all the way to the outside here and on the opposite side there. But if their purpose is to ventilate air, then what are those two coming from the queen's chamber for?
Yeah.
They don't even get close to the outside of the pyramid. Is it really just randomly made, like the entire underground section of the pyramid? Or are there untold secrets that we are yet to discover about this ancient structure?
Maybe?
We don't know. I mean, we could ask the head architect over there, but we all know the #1 rule of time traveling is that we shouldn't change or interact.
I was gonna say, it's pretty interesting to think, another edgy video, sure. It's interesting to think, yeah, like, obviously we don't want to touch it because, you know, like, you don't want to break it. Huh? But if, like, we actually took it apart, there might be a lot more secrets or, like, a lot more explanation on how they built it, how they worked it. You know, it's pretty interesting to think, but we say, yeah, we don't want to actually do that, right? You don't want to actually break it, but at the same time, what if you actually, like, took it apart? Yeah, what will you find? What secret could we discover?
With anything from the past. So I'm afraid we'll have to wait till someone smarter figures it out for us. What we don't have to figure out is what happened to the pyramid. Throughout the, once again, 4,500 years it stood proud. It has been hit by many earthquakes, lootings and empires, which caused the pyramid to slowly but surely change to the dusty pile of impressive Lego blocks it is today. When the modern archaeologists opened up the tomb for the first time, both the pharaoh's mummy and his immense wealth were already stolen. Bollocks. But yeah, as you can see, there is a lot of mystery.
Not important, and he died at 19.
Some even claim that the pyramid was actually an old-school electricity generator, where hydrogen gas was used to somehow generate electricity that then was wirelessly transmitted by obelisks across Egypt or something. If that is true, I guess there is only one logical explanation. Aliens!
I was gonna say, yeah. The alien factor.
Nah, I'm
the
just
alien
kidding
conspiracy.
you, little historian. Wireless electricity transportation and the pyramids being glorified power generators is obviously just foolish conspiracy talk.
Yeah.
Well then.
The Battle of the Pyramids. I mean, I haven't watched the movie, but yeah. Napoleon didn't even, the Battle of the Pyramids wasn't like in front of the pyramids. They were like kilometers away. They like, he was pretty far away from it. He just called it the Battle of the Pyramids because it sounds pretty cool. But he was actually pretty far from the pyramids. Yeah.
On to the second wonder, after you.
Alright, what's next? I have no idea. Alien for real. The Hanging Garden of Babylon. Oh, I was gonna say...
The beautiful Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Built in the year 600 before Christ, it was often described as the Green Mountain within the heart of Babylon, which was an ancient city in what is nowadays Iraq. The garden hosted hundreds of different plants.
In history video, I kind of, this looks really good, but I always prefer kind of like real videos where like they show actual image and stuff like that, because here, like I just want to see the real thing. How it looks like. Sure, the outside looks good, but can't they show a few real photos? The Garden of Babylon's. Yeah, that looks pretty sick. Alright. But, oh no, actually, is it... none of this looks like real pictures, actually, I'm stupid. Is there like any real pictures of it? Or is it just like completely gone or something? Garden of Babylon. Yeah, no, I guess it's all images. I guess it's probably gone then. It doesn't exist, okay. Well, that explains it then. Damn, my dumbass study was real, okay, so fair enough, that's why it didn't show pictures. I'm stupid.
Trees and flowers, which it managed to do so by utilizing a surprisingly modern and effective water irrigation system.
It all remains because it's
water would be taken up to the top level by an early version of Archimedes' screw flow, where then the water would flow from the upper levels down past the beautiful greeneries all the way to the bottom, effectively watering the entire pyramid-like garden in one fell swoop.
I see.
For the year 600 before Christ, that's some impressive engineering.
I believe in Santa Claus as well.
Real, though. What? Oh, did I forget to mention that this all might have never existed?
There we go.
Yeah, there is no archaeological evidence that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon ever stood here in Babylon. The only quote-unquote evidence we have of the place are scrolls and documents from the ancient Greek historians who wrote about it. Supposedly, the ancient king Nebuchadnezzar II, which is a real name, yes, ordered for the gardens to be built because his wife, who was from a faraway region, got extremely homesick and missed the beautiful greeneries her birthplace was known for. So to help his queen get over her homesickness, the king ordered for the garden to be built so his wife would never miss the beautiful flora her own country had to offer. Ah, doesn't that sound like a piece straight from Shakespeare? Well, maybe it is. The past dozen years,
like
archaeologists have looked far and wide through the ruins of old Babylon.
Yet
they can't find anything close to what is described by the ancient historians. And that is why, if we want to be historically accurate, there is absolutely nothing to see here, as no one even knows what the gardens actually look like.
So then, who is it that decided the 7 wonder of the world? Like, is it a wonder if, everybody says it's fake?
Yeah. Enough void seeing. On to the Temple of Artemis.
The Temple of Artemis. Similar to Atlantis, yeah. Temple of Artemis. Turkey.
Okay, this is technically correct, but it's not the Temple of Artemis. It's more like a predecessor that was much simpler and, well, uglier. The reason why I brought us to this version is because there were actually 3 installments of the temple that existed, with the final 3rd one being the one praised as an ancient world wonder.
I visited that in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
The first temple was made around the start of the Bronze Age as a place to worship the Greek goddess Artemis, who represented nature and fertility, which was kind of important for the people because, it's 1200 BC. But unfortunately, either the temple wasn't impressive enough, or the farmers had bad luck, because around the year 700 BC, a huge flood destroyed the exclusive temple and all the farmers' land around it.
Damn.
The surviving farmers concluded that this all happened because they didn't worship the goddess hard enough. So they decided that they had to build a bigger, better temple than before, to gain the blessings from the goddess yet again. Unfortunately...
Yeah, but at this point, most of the obvious like non-world has been discovered. So if there was anything like this, it would have been found, no?
Big things cost big money. So it all took a small 150 years to get the construction of the improved temple started, and yet another 120 years to finish it. But hey,
wow.
At last it was built and stood proud for the farmers to enjoy and worship at. Though not for long. Because of this bumhole.
Okay.
Who I can't say the name of because I would be publicly executed for it.
Why?
This man was obsessed with fame. You could say he was the first TikToker.
I was about to say.
Just like all the others, he was really annoying. In the dead of night, the man whose name I once again can't say snuck into the temple of Artemis and started a fire that caused the entire temple to catch ablaze and ultimately...
Isn't it stone though? Like in the outside it looks like stone.
Burned down to the ground. Why did he do this? Because he wanted eternal fame. And as much as I hate to admit it, I guess he succeeded, because we still talk about him to this day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him though, he also succeeded in getting his head cut off.
Good.
So yeah, here we are again with another destroyed temple and plenty of frustrated people who can't worship their goddess anymore.
Damn.
Guess we will build it again, am I right, folks? And so did it. This time, even bigger, even better than the already good one, with beautiful statues hosted inside, which brought in people from far and wide. Like the Apostle John, who exorcised demons there, according to the Bible. This time, the temple actually stood for a bit longer. About 800 years, in fact. Like all good things, though, it had to come to an end. First in 268 AD, it got set ablaze by the Goths because no reason actually. They just wanted to cause rampage throughout the Roman Empire like they always did.
Of course.
And for the final blow, in the year 408, a huge Christian mob came to wreck the place down because the emperor decided it was time to forcefully convert everyone to Christianity.
Classic.
It's almost sad.
Classic.
But hey, at least they recycled the wreckage to build the Hagia Sophia.
It is sad, huh? It is pretty damn sad. Like, when you think about it, like, yeah, this kind of things in like all of the great ruins of history that have been gone or destroyed. Even to this day, it still happens a lot, right? Like, sometimes I watch video about like modern war and there's stuff like old statues and old temples and stuff like that being destroyed because, you know, like they don't believe in the same religion or, you know, the government just want to build something there or whatever it is. Like, it's constantly like that. And I get that, you know, I've said it before, like, I get, you know, we can't just preserve everything from the past because otherwise there's no space. But it's kind of a shame how, you know, so much legendary stuff that could still be around today is just gone, right?
The ruins of the temple can still be visited in Turkey, where you can also visit the secret final fourth version of the temple. And I'll tell you what, man, their shawarma is so good.
Shawarma.
Oh, all right, let's go.
Meat.
Where are we? One sec, I'll grab a light.
Sultan in Egypt that tried to destroy the pyramid. He failed.
My time machine must have malfunctioned and teleported us.
How would you even, like, I feel like, you know, destroying the pyramid, especially back in the day, sounds like, you know, like too much work for anyone. Like, it took an insane amount of people to build, so like to destroy it, you'd need like an insane amount of people like working at destroying it. Can you even imagine? Like, it sounds like it's too much of a pain, you know? But yeah, of course, he left a scar on the pyramid, yeah. Like, I'm actually surprised, yeah, when you think about it, it's pretty surprising that the pyramid is still standing and, you know, like, after like 5,000 years, whatever it was, people haven't tried to really, like, you know, like, take the stones or whatever it is. Crazy. Ads. Damn. Just skip. Use that block on my channel. It's okay.
Somewhere completely different. I'll take a look outside to figure out where we are.
Blank. World War II.
Why the hell did it throw us so far away from the machine? Oh no. Hey, not to panic, but you don't happen to know how to operate an M4 Sherman tank, do you? Great. Okay, think logically. Surely there must be some kind of manual laying around here. Ah, speak of the devil. How to destroy a panzer tank with one well-aimed shot for dummies. Oh, well, couldn't come at a better time, right? Before we get into how to survive this deadly situation, first a quick word from our sponsor, World of Tanks.
I figure, I was literally about to say, yeah, like, play World of Tanks and you know how to destroy tanks by aiming at the weak spots.
What's happening here? Very clever, you guys. Alright, let's do this then. Do you like blowing things up? You do? Great. Then I have the perfect gaming experience for you.
I think I've actually tried World of Tanks.
World of Tanks is a free multiplayer online game where you can drive your own tank and fight massive battles in an 8v8 battle format.
Like you can get so much better tanks.
There are over 800 different tanks to choose from, including tanks that are destroyers, artillery, light, medium and heavy. Join over 100 million players fighting across 40 plus maps in historically accurate tanks by simply clicking the link in the description. And don't forget to use the code COMBAT to get your hands on 250,000 credits, a Cromwell B British premium tank, 3 rental tanks for your first 10 battles, and 7 days of premium. Existing players who haven't played for 30 plus days can also get 3 days of premium, exclusive camouflage, and a 7-day rental of a premium tank.
That's what I thought.
So thanks for listening and install World of Tanks for free today. Make sure to... God, does this guy ever just get to the point? To escape your situation, simply click the big red button that says fire. What? Which button? Oh,
okay, but like the amount of art animation in this video again. I understand you need an ad, you need a sponsor. I won't complain, you know, like get your bag. Like that this video must have taken a while to do.
Cross your mind to tell me that?
Most games like this is pay to win.
Don't say anything. Not like you do anyway.
Unfortunately.
Alright, time to show that Panzer what American power feels like. Fired? What do you mean I'm fired? And which smartass installs a button in a tank that fires you on the go? No wonder the tank was empty when we got in there. You know what? Forget it. This kit is taking way too long and we still got 4 wonders to cover. So enjoy the Cold War, losers.
This stream is also sponsored by you guys via Patreon stream. True.
Yeah, so fun fact, this entire huge structure is not the thing we are here for. Why we are actually here is for the thing that is inside the building.
Statue?
The statue of Zeus.
Oh.
The story why the statue was made is actually kind of childish. The people in Athens hired this one dude called Phidias to make a statue of the goddess Athena, which the aliens, no, not those in Egypt, the aliens, also known as the judges of the Olympic Games, were real jealous of. We can't have those filthy peasants east of us have a statue of a deity while we do not. So, after slipping Phidias a quick 50 gold bars, they had him also create a statue for the Olympians. Though theirs obviously had to be slightly bigger and also feature a slightly more important god than their competitors. The reason why this statue got on the list is not because it's so super impressive.
What a shame.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's huge and really portrays the wrath of the Father of Gods. But compared to the Great Pyramid of Giza, or the one I'll show you next, this wonder could be labeled as underwhelming. So then why is it on the list? Well, the statue portrayed more...
See, the problem is that he hasn't explained who made the list and what was the criteria, right? Like, yeah, I don't know.
Than just the king of the Greek gods. It's a symbol of the sheer awe and devotion that the ancient Greeks had for the gods. The statue of Zeus at Olympia was not merely a representation of a deity. It was a testament to the religious passion and cultural pride of the ancient people.
Fair enough.
Fancy, right? Even though the temple and the statue stood for hundreds of years, it too was destined to be slain by Father Time. Multiple earthquakes, a fire, and once again the Goths, because, you know, what else would they be doing with their spare time? Caused the ancient wonder to turn into an archaeologist's wet dream.
That's old.
Stupid Goth girls. Why can't they just leave us alone for one?
If it was the Ghost Girl, I can forgive it.
You know, I watched a really fun movie the other day, where people could tell how much time they had left to live.
I mean, they might be, yeah, but at the same time, like these days for like, you know, country like France or the US, I think there's kind of like, you know, not only the government, but organization who have like a big, you know, big thing about preserving history. So something as like, you know, well-renowned as that, I think it should be fine. Outside of like, you know, if there's a war, like a nuclear war or something and they just get annihilated, I think it should be fine. It's probably like smaller things that people consider less important historically that might be gone, you know. That's the sad thing. The pyramids still remain. Yeah, I mean, the pyramids, you know, they might be fine, to be honest. Like, there shouldn't be any battle on the pyramids. I don't know if there's much civilization on the pyramid. That would be worth nuking, so I guess they're not really, like, at risk too much. Even earthquake probably won't do much to them. I don't know.
So good, in fact, that I created these goggles that allow me to see that as well. For example, look over there. That is Mausolus. He's the governor of Caria, which is basically this place in nowadays Turkey. Keep a good eye on him, because in exactly 4.3 seconds, he is going to die.
Okay. Heart attack.
Jeez, these glasses really are something, aren't they? Back to what we're here for. See that woman standing next to Mausolus' corpse? That is not only his sister, but also his wife. Yeah, very before Christ-ish from them, isn't it? Anyway, she is devastated by the loss of her brother/husband and wants to make sure his burial is done flawlessly in honor of his wishes, which he made clear to her before he kicked the bucket. His wish of final resting place, though, wasn't a simple grave next to a cherry blossom tree in his hometown or something. No, he wanted a massive tomb in the middle of Caria's capital city, Halicarnassus, to forever immortalize his greatness in our history.
Wow.
Spoiler alert, so she did. And Mausolus' widow and sister made sure to spare no expense. She hired the most skilled architects and artisans from Greece to work on this masterpiece of a building. The mausoleum was decorated with complex sculptures and stunning carvings, showcasing the talent.
One thing I forgot about 9/11. They also crashed a plane into the Pentagon, that's right?
Renowned artists that I could name, but you would forget anyway. What, you think you won't forget them? Here they are. Scopas, Bryaxis, Timotheus, and Leocaris. I sincerely hope you memorized them just now, because I will test you when we are done with our little adventure. Standing at a lot of meters, this wonder of the ancient world was a sight to behold. Its layers consisted of a base, iconic columns, a tiered pyramid, and a beautiful statue of Mausolus and Artemis riding a chariot on top. A perfect final resting place for a governor with a lot of money. Fun fact, this wonder is where the word mausoleum comes from. So, thank you, Mausolus. Very cool.
As a
change of pace, the mausoleum did not get destroyed by goth girls. And as a matter of fact, it survived, honestly, a lot. It survived Alexander the Great, aggressive pirates, even fires. But it couldn't survive our good old friend, Mr. Earthquake, who decided to knock it down to the first level around the year 1100. Now, surprisingly, after all of that, the temple actually remained for quite some more time. Till the year 1494, in fact. That is just over 500 years ago, making it the second longest standing world wonder, with the Great Pyramid in first place, of course. The final blow done to the mausoleum wasn't done by an earthquake, but instead by a dozen holy knights who were terrified of the Ottoman Empire attacking their castle. So they decided to break whatever was left from the wonder apart and use those stones to reinforce their hideout. Now, if they managed to heroically fight the Ottomans off with an epic battle and important victory, I would be okay with them breaking the 1700 years old wonder apart. But no, they got absolutely destroyed. To be honest, what were they thinking? The Ottoman Empire was massive at that time, and they thought the 80 of them could stop their advance? Yeah, quite a boring one-sided siege that happened here. Wanna hear a story about an insane siege, though?
Right, that's really the problem. Like, again, like so much of the historical stuff in Wonders, like, they might be fun as long as there's no war, but as soon as there's a war and there's like some, you know, enemies or invading force, they, for the most part, might not give a shit about your historical site, right? You know, you're the enemy, so who cares about your historical place, and they might just go and destroy it. Not thinking about the bigger picture that, you know, like this is just like world history. I say that has happened so many times through history, right? I mean, yeah, so much stuff is lost. Oh, the Colossus of Rhodes. Is that the thing you fight in God of War 1? Or is it 3? I forget.
The Colossus of Rhodes. This massive 30 meters tall bronze and iron statue was made to celebrate a significant military victory that the people of Rhodes achieved and to praise the sun god Helios, who they believed had helped them win it. To keep it easy to follow, allow me to oversimplify what happened here in this conflict. After Alexander the Great conquered all of this territory, he decided to die. Understandable, we all have to do that one day. But he didn't appoint an heir that would inherit all of this territory. So instead, it was divided among his generals. And what do generals like to do? They like to wage wars amongst each other. One of those internal conflicts was between the Antigonid dynasty and the small independent city-state and island of Rhodes. Because Rhodes was a major center of commerce and trade in the Eastern Mediterranean, it was a massive money generator, which made it very interesting for Demetrius, the ruler of the Antigonid dynasty, so he decided that he wanted to take it. The Rhodians, anticipating the attack, fortified their defenses and sought alliances with states around them, including the Kingdom of Egypt. However, those alliances didn't stop the war from happening. And in the year 304 before Christ, Demetrius started the siege that would result in a beautiful bronze colossus. Even though the Rhodians were heavily outnumbered, because the city of Rhodes was well fortified and surrounded by hilly terrain, they managed to hold the Antagonids off for many months on end. But then, just like in a video game, there had to come a final boss. Meet the Taker of Cities. A massive siege tower designed by the great Demetrius himself to be used to finally take down the walls of Rhodes. The tower stood over 40 meters tall and 20 meters wide and housed a whopping 16 ballistas spread across its 7 floors. Not to mention, had a massive crew of over 3,400 soldiers in battle. Even this monstrous tower of death couldn't break the spirit nor walls of the Rhodians. And after finally receiving help,
I guess if you only have one, yeah, like, you know, the defender can fully focus on it.
From the allied Egyptians, the Rhodians managed to break free from the siege and ended their 1-year period of constant bombardment. The Antagonids' chaotic retreat resulted in almost all of their war equipment, including their hellish tower, to be left on the island. And what better thing to do with all that metal and bronze than to build a massive colossus of Rhodes'
okay, that's a pretty good story.
God.
That's a pretty sick story.
This is by far my favorite ancient wonder.
Yeah, it sounds pretty sick. And again, it makes you like just so sad it's not here anymore, like you can't see it.
But it is also the shortest lived wonder, as only 56 years after it being built, it broke its ankles and collapsed onto the floor, where it remained as a tourist attraction for another 800 years. And yes, this wonder as well ended up being looted and stripped down.
Of course.
A little bit off topic, right? But why can't more cities build magnificent structures or massive statues of important figures? As a matter of fact, why is nothing nice being built nowadays? Everything we build has turned dull and repetitive for the sake of economic benefits. The people of Rhodes survived a massive year-long siege which ruined the economy and infrastructure of the island. And yet, they chose not to sell all of that war equipment and instead melted most of it down to create a huge statue to celebrate the Rhodian pride and victory. Culture is pretty cool, you know. You'll miss it someday.
I mean, see the point, but it's not really true, right? It's just that what people build these days in terms of, you know, leave their mark or something is not like, you know, a lot of people would complain about it and say it's not that cool, right? Like just trying to build the today's building, like the Burj Khalifa, or before that it was the Empire State Building. Like they're cool, but they're also just, you know, it's just some big ass building. So I don't know, like, you know, like the difference is maybe like the goal is only like here to just like in recent time, like when anyone does something impressive like that, it's only to like literally with the intended goal to leave a mark for the future. But I guess for something like this, they were just celebrating like their great victory. So there's like a full story behind it. Or like the pyramids, the guy just wanted to be remembered. You know, I don't know, like there's just a difference to it.
Welcome to the final 7th wonder of our time-traveling journey, the lighthouse at Alexandria.
Oh, yeah, I know about this. I was going to mention it earlier, like, is the Alexandria Tower, like, part of it? I know it was destroyed by earthquake.
It's the youngest ancient world wonder of them all, as it was built in the year 200.
I remember, like, you know, I'm pretty obsessed with Napoleon and the history of Napoleon, and in his trip to Egypt, you know, it literally mentions how, you know, he was really disappointed to go to Alexandria and see not only like the tower is gone, but the whole city is like so unkept that it's like nothing like it was described in the ancient text.
80 BC, which also means if you were alive in this day and age, you would be able to visit all the wonders we covered before, just as you would be able to visit this one. And hell, even the World Trade Center is still here. No, I'm not making that joke, it's too cheap. So, Picture
You
this.
did it.
A big coastal city with an even bigger and busier
Lights are
harbor.
flickering.
Ships with unimaginable wealth enter the city in masses to sell their goods and make even more money than they already have. It's a good life. At least during bright, clear summer days it is. During these stormy nights, it's a whole different story. In a day and age where not exactly everyone has a degree in sailing, it was quite frequent that ships ended up crashing into each other or onto shore due to the bad visibility. It also didn't help that the harbor of Alexandria wasn't exactly easy to get in and out to, though it was very easily defended from pirates. One day, the rich people of Alexandria were like, what if we built a lighthouse on that rock over there to make sure merchants can get into our harbor easily, making it more attractive for them to come to our city in general.
Smart.
The design of the lighthouse can be split into 3 levels. A square base, followed by a cylindrical middle section, and as a cherry on top, a cylinder where the light will be emitted
It looks
from.
pretty sick.
Such a huge 130 meters tall lighthouse obviously needed to also shine a huge amount of
Again, I
light.
think one thing I want to mention is, like, Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed get a lot of flack, but if you guys have never played something like, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Odyssey, a lot of their games, frankly, which are, like, based on period of history, they are pretty awesome because, again, like, despite, the story not being that great, the gameplay not being that great, it's open world repetition. One thing that Ubisoft has never failed at is reproducing some of those ancient things to, like, an insane level of detail. And obviously they're probably not perfect compared to how they were back then. They're using whatever, like, remain description there is of them. But something like Assassin's Creed Odyssey was, like, just a blast to, like, go through a lot of, like, legendary, like, Greek location. I think the Temple of Artemis, for example, is one of them. So again, like, one thing that, makes Assassin's Creed pretty awesome is that. And again, like, a lot of these things are gone, so yeah, either you'd see them in a movie or something, like, recreated, but in a game you can more or less walk around and, personally, like, I get that feeling of just amazement of, like, this was a real thing, I'm playing it in a game, but this was a real thing at one point in history.
Right. And because electricity wasn't going to be invented for another 2,000 years, unless if you live close to the pyramids, they had to come up with a different but clever solution to generate that much light anyway. The solutions to this problem were mirrors, lenses, and polished bronze, which all massively enhanced the light of the single wood-fueled flame at the top of the lighthouse.
Big brain, huh?
The light ended up being so bright, in fact, that it was the brightest man-made light created at that time. And it helped hundreds, if not thousands of ships every day to navigate to the port of the city.
Whoa.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Why did they go all out on this super expensive lighthouse that ended up costing roughly $100 million in nowadays money? If they could have also made a normal lighthouse and still would have achieved the goal of aiding the merchants to their city. Well, to show that they are a better mercantile city than their competitors, of course. Be honest with me, right? Where would you rather go? To a city with a big lighthouse and beautiful light? Or to a city with a small lighthouse with a pathetic normal
size that matters,
light?
right?
Which way, modern man? Exactly. Like moths, the merchants swarmed the city and lighthouse in masses, which made the Alexandrian elites even richer than they originally were. Impressive stuff. What was also impressive, though, is for how long it stood for. Though there were many earthquakes that chipped down the wonder, the lighthouse at Alexandria ended up staying for a whopping 1,500 years.
That's pretty
till
long,
one day, the final earthquake knocked the lighthouse down, and then everyone crashed their boats and died.
That's one thing that makes me wonder, like, is there any, like, outside the pyramids, obviously, any ancient, like, big building like this that was built in a way that was actually somewhat earthquake resistant and is still standing today? I wonder if there was any, like, crazy engineer back in the day that actually made building able to like, resist like, earthquake and survive. I wonder. Interested in fanmade tokusatsu video. Maybe, if it's not, like, anything from the actual shows, because copyright might be bad.
Final thing I might have just made up.
Alright.
And thus we conclude our wonderful journey through time. Now,
nice.
for the killer question that you've been dying to ask me. Do I think that all the ancient world wonders are better than the current 7 world wonders?
Oh, so this new one, okay.
The Great Wall of China, for example, is way more impressive than the statue of Zeus.
Right,
And with
right.
all but one of the ancient wonders destroyed, it makes sense to fill in those gaps with the new ones. But once again, why is the Pyramid of Giza not one of the 7?
Right.
I call for another vote on what the new wonders of the world should be. Now, before I let you...
Like, that seems absolutely insane to me. Okay, so I was confused. There's a distinction between the ancient wonders and the new wonders. Okay, I didn't realize. But again, like, how do you not count the Pyramid of Giza? Yeah. If some 1,000, 2,000 years ago, then there's a lot of building, I guess. Yeah, but... Yeah. But I guess, I mean, before Christ, I guess.
There's just one small thing left for us to do.
Because most of this talked about was before Christ.
Remember when I dared you to memorize the names of the 4 renowned artists who worked on the mausoleum? Well, here we are. What were their 4 names?
Oh,
you can't remember? They were Scopas, Bryaxis, Timotheus, and Leocaris.
Oh, okay.
How could you possibly forget? I even told you to remember them. Surely you remember the name of the pharaoh that lays inside the Great Pyramid? Pharaoh Khufu? No, you don't either?
No.
Seriously, do you remember anything I told you? You know what? It doesn't matter. I cannot let you walk away knowing that time traveling is a real thing. Plus, your time is about to run out anyway.
Oh no.
So, thanks for joining me on my journey. And, well, truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
Damn. Okay, pretty good video. I ain't gonna lie, I tend to have kind of like... I watch a lot of history video, but I have a bit of a dislike usually of, like, you know, drawn video like this. I prefer one that show like ton of real image, you know, or like ancient art or something, rather than like just this modern kind of like chibi art style. I usually don't really like it that much. Like oversimplified, I'm really not into that style, but this one was good. And I guess it helped that obviously a lot of it literally was destroyed so long ago that there's no picture of it. So I guess it's fine to show it like this. But yeah, that was good. 0 point, yeah. But at the same time, you know, I'll definitely remember some stuff about this. I won't remember names, but I remember like some of these stories. So I learned something still. I learned something, you could say. Good video. That was interesting.